Gentlemen, a series of conversation between men for men to talk about taboo subjects like emotion, behavior, culture, and mental health, just to name a few, in hopes to encourage men to embrace their authentic self and reclaim their emotional being. So join me to bring back the gentle in men. Welcome to another chapter of Gentle Men. Today we have our guest, Waleed. I would like to start with him introducing himself and give us a little bit more about him.
Hi guys, thank you for having me here, Hamad. My name is Waleed Hashim. I'm an energy master and a spiritual teacher from Bahrain. This is such a difficult question. Introduce myself. I want to do an introduction about who I am, what I like. So I'm a young Bahraini man who grew up in Mharraq, a very beautiful island in Bahrain, second largest city. Woo! And Mharraq, yeah. And I grew up. I always enjoyed reading, always enjoyed writing, always enjoyed speaking. Languages were a love of mine since a very early age. I loved Arabic. Arabic طبعا was my first love, اللغة العربية الفصحى. And then I fell in love with English as I grew older. I studied in school, then went to read law at the London School of Economics and Political Science in London. It's part of the University of London. And then I graduated with an LLB law degree in English and Welsh law. I came back to Bahrain. I took امتحان الشريعة. A lot of people tell me when you lecture, don't speak about God and religion so much لأنك مو دارس شريعة. وفي الصدق أنا دارس شريعة. So I took the Sharia exam and I passed it, alhamdulillah. And I started as a legal consultant in the Ministry of Finance and National Economy. And then I became a lawyer at an international law firm. Then I moved back to the government sector. Then I moved out of it to the private sector. I worked as the head of legal compliance and shareholder affairs in a big takaful company, which is Islamic insurance. And then I moved out of the private sector to work as a lawyer, fil courts. I did criminal, corporate, a bit of labor. And I'm also a novelist. I can talk about it. So I'm also a novelist, guys. I have 3 published novels. The second of which won the prize for the Bahraini جائزة الكتاب المتميز. Anyways, it's a Bahraini literary prize. And مرا بحياة أخرى is the second one. لم أكن هناك is the first. The third is رؤى الناظرة من يرمق. And the reason why people know me and why you have me here is none of these things I mentioned. The reason why I'm invited on this podcast is because when I was 21 and just graduated university, I received a call from my mom in Bahrain. She told me, Waleed, there's this thing called Reiki that you need to study. And I looked, there were so many establishments teaching Reiki in the UK. So I was like, I'll just study it when I go back home. I go back to Bahrain, I graduate, I start working, and then I realize no one teaches energy, Reiki, self-development in Bahrain. So we wait for this Australian guy who lives in France, Master Terence Coleman, to come, and I take the first course with him. And I never practice, but he teaches us a lot. And then I have some issues with my job, some difficulties. And then I try meditating. And things in my life start shifting. It was like magic. I meditate, I calm myself from within, and then things from without start changing. It was really nice. If I continued to do it, I did more and more of it. So basically, as soon as I graduated at 21, I started studying energy spirituality. أول شيء through Reiki Genkido, the 7 chakra energy system. Those of you who have studied or have studied with me know more about it. And then I move on to other schools of energy, A Course in Miracles, شنو بعد درست? Abraham Hicks teachings, Louise Hay, Marianne Williamson's. I actually enjoyed a lot of. I really went deeply into spirituality and energy, and then I realized that I don't really agree with everyone's everything. So I start creating my own school of thought and thinking, and somewhere around 2000, towards the end of 2010, see, I was a lawyer in the morning, but in the afternoons I taught labor law courses in some institutions. Okay, so I taught law in several places. يعني, I'm not going to name names. So I taught law in several educational institutions in Bahrain. And I started trying out teaching energy with my law students. And I invited my friends and taught them. Basically, I would teach anyone who's willing to listen to me for free.
Okay.
I loved teaching law and spirituality so much. Anyone who would give me the time of day, I teach them anything I know, anything they want for free. طبعا not anymore, بس يعني back then. And basically it started the ball rolling, and then I started doing paid courses, and then in 2011 the Bahrain Positive Energy Center was established. I became part of that. And then it exploded in the Gulf. I started teaching in Bahrain, in Dubai, in Kuwait, Doha. I taught a couple of courses in London, 3 courses in London. I taught several courses, I think 6 in Thailand. Yani I started traveling and teaching, and I became known for being Waleed, the spiritual teacher. But it's not all of me. People wonder why I don't teach all the time, why I'm not accessible all the time, why I don't video myself speaking about spirituality all the time. It's because it's not all of me. And I enjoy doing so much more with my life. I'm so many other things. Spirituality is a way of life and living for me. I meditate daily. I pray daily. I do yoga as much as I can. I eat right. Best. Life is about like experiencing things. I enjoy making mistakes. I enjoy sometimes eating foods that I'm not supposed to have. Yani, I like being as regular as possible. Yani, sometimes people see me teaching and think that's the way I am لما أكل شاورما, but it's not. And ما أكل شاورما, FYI. But يعني, it just illustrates what I enjoy about life. I enjoy the process of living it. I think I've rambled enough.
Okay, thank you for watching,
Welcome.
everyone. Wow, that was.
I could keep going, Hamad. يعني, just give me the green
But
light.
لا يعني صراحة this actually makes me very intrigued to know how many layers there is to Waleed. And that's amazing, يعني. And as you put it, and one of the things why you're here is because of the spiritual teaching that I know of you. But right now, and the previous guests, you know, like they keep on surprising me on how many layers there is to them.
Yeah.
But people always see the dominant layer.
Yes.
You know, and I love that because eventually this is something that I wanted to drive this talk today towards, which is how people perceive you. You know, there's a practice that I mentioned a while back, which is if you have 10 people and each person actually says something about you, we would have 10 different opinions.
Yes.
And this is exactly what you emphasized on right now, that there's so much for Waleed, but even with me being here, I know Waleed as the spiritual teacher.
Yes.
You know, and that's really beautiful because I want to touch upon something maybe society or culture actually does, is that me as an individual, you know, growing up, knowing that there are certain groups, tribes, cultures, behaviors, people that I look myself within, and eventually I relate myself to them.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes we kind of label that as identity. And this is something I would like to hear from you. What is identity?
Interesting. What is identity? Okay, now the spiritual teacher comes out, لأن يعني it's an important question صراحة. We need some spiritual teachings to answer it. In energy teachings, we have such a thing called, it's called the chakra system, guys.
Okay.
So the chakra system, it basically says our body is energized by what we call the ray energy or the universal energy.
Okay.
So, and it energizes our bioenergy, our key energy, hence the term ray ki. It's the universal energy uniting with the body's physical energy. It's like a computer. If you think of the computer, the actual laptop as the key energy, the electricity and the internet that energizes it is the ray energy. It's the energy you take from the universe. So the same way, for example, this studio needs electricity. It needs a station, an electrical energy station close by to give it this electricity. Our bodies have energy centers. These energy centers give electricity to nearby, let's say, physical organs, but also emotional and mental requirements and necessities and elements of each chakra. So identity is an element of the throat chakra. By the way, the chakras aren't just 7. I teach 7, but there are thousands of chakras.
Okay.
The reason why there's like a 7 chakra system school or a 9 or an 11 or a what have you, it's because these teachings are always simplified so that, like, you know, we could get them.
Yeah.
So the throat chakra and the solar plexus, or what I call the navel, chakra sirra, the navel chakra, or chakra al-hinjara, the throat chakra, are the 2 chakras responsible for identity. The throat, if you ask the throat about Waleed, it would tell you the long list of accomplishments / identities I gave. I'm Bahraini, I speak Arabic, I identify as Muslim, I like a list of tribal identities. The navel chakra would tell you I'm none of those things. Okay. So the throat would tell you he's 170, 1, 2, 7, 1, 3. We can like check the height later. The navel would tell you he's not. The throat would tell you he's male. The navel would tell you he's not. The throat would tell you he's Bahraini. The navel would tell you he's not. The throat would tell you he's this year of age. The navel would tell you he's not. So the throat is all about what we perceive and what we're taught about ourselves. The navel level of identity, chakra sirra, is all about our true identity. So who I truly am is not a writer / lawyer / spiritual teacher. Who I truly am is a soul that for this lifetime has chosen to manifest into a physical body to further along its journey of growth and expansion.
Beautiful.
So this is what I have to say about identity. I don't want to get into like throat identity issues of tribe and stuff, but the spiritual identity is that you're like you can see yourself in everything because everything has a soul and is a reflection of you. Allah خلقنا من نفس واحدة. يعني we're all created from the same, let's say, soul or flame of energy or light. But for the purposes of the frame of our life, you could, if you want to hang a picture, there's a picture there of the Avengers. Anyways, so if you if you want to hang a picture, you need a frame.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, Avengers.
It is.
It is. Just checking. You need a frame for the picture. This frame is basically what the throat level of identity provides for us, like a framework through which we can actually work and integrate ourselves and have bouncing off points.
Okay.
So basically a lot of, let's say, like challenges in life.
Okay.
Because if you don't identify as male, you won't have male challenges. of, oh, I need to be independent and make money. If you don't identify as Muslim, you won't have like these challenges of, oh, they don't understand my religion. What do I do? Like if you don't identify as short, as tall, as slim, as chubby, as if you don't identify as anything,
like these kind of labels that
these labels give you, their value is in that they give you challenges from which you can bounce off, expand, realize you're not any of those things, you realize you're so much more, and then connect to a source of love and then flood everyone around you with it.
Okay.
That's a good way of doing it.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
If we kind of say that, I believe that there's a lot going on within our culture, society right now, where there's a lot of external factors are introduced on the daily. A lot of information, a lot of misconceptions, and basically you find a lot of people that deem themselves as lost. So where do you see that these individuals kind of get to the point where they're lost, but eventually, as you said, the identity is based on everything around us. It's it's where we live, it's what we are. So if we kind of interlink these two together, how is it we still find a lot of people still consider themselves being lost?
Okay. A long time ago, they found a stone.
Okay.
I don't remember where, how, who, but I remember what was written on it. In a language, like an old language that I don't really remember right now, on the stone was written two statements. As above, so below.
Okay.
As within, so without.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what this means, in life, the experiences you attract are reflective of who you are, not what you want. And this is the biggest misconception about energy and law of attraction. And I'll think about the Maserati and it'll show up one day. You don't really attract what you want in life unless it's an energetic match to who you are. And how do we merge who we are and what we want? How do those two become one? We need to become as authentic as we possibly can, as quickly as we can. And authenticity is a phrase much easier said than it is done.
Sure.
Why? ليش? Why? ليش? Why? لأن because you have been brought up, you were born and have been brought up in a society that is invested in you not being yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I emphasize on that a little bit?
Sure.
Growing up, if we want to do something, let's say, based on our culture, if we want to learn how to play a music instrument, a lot of people, our parents were like, Abe, don't do that. It's not something that we might it's not something that is accepted. Or let's say they see you draw, they're like, what, are you the next Picasso? Kind of like, they kind of joke around with it, but it kind of builds an identity within us that we're not good enough, maybe.
What you just said reminded me of a very wonderful saying. So the man says, when I was young, my mom told me, you can be anything you want to be, and you'll succeed in anything you choose. If you choose to become a merchant, you'll be the head merchant of the land. If you choose to be a sportsman, you'll be the most successful. If you choose to be in the army, you'll be the head general. And then he says, I chose to be an artist, and I became Picasso. So we see that Picasso's mom didn't tell him, you're no Picasso. She told him, you'll succeed in anything you want. And it's not just the positive affirmation of you'll succeed. It's that you can be anything you want to be. It's the openness of choice.
Giving you the room,
A lot of parents think that the best way to parent is to kind of find out what their child is good at and then pummel it in. Or just think of something they'll make a good living out of and then just force them to be that. doesn't really work لأن your job is not to help someone be who they are. Your job is not to help someone succeed. Your job is just to enjoy the journey.
Of this person becoming.
Yes. And to like discover them maybe with them. But they are the only discoverer. You're just there as a witness for the journey.
It's beautifully said.
What were we saying before that? There was something I wanted to say about...
You're talking about how the emphasizing
Yes. So how society... يعني, it starts with our parents, fortunately. But our parents have been socialized themselves. يعني, let me give you this example. So I'm very good with like staying away from social media. But once in a while, I'm trapped into an Instagram, limbo. And I can't get out. So I'm trapped in this Instagram limbo. And I come across a video of a young Bahraini dance teacher. So she teaches dance. Not طبعاً break dance. ولا Latin dances. لأن the audience مال break dance و Latin dances are usually more open to dancing. Yeah. She teaches traditional Bahraini dancing or Khaliji dancing. Okay,
interesting.
Now, very interesting. And it's wonderful that we have such dance instructor in our region. However, and they were interviewing her about her work, and if you see the comments below, it's a lot of barrage of negative comments of people trying to stop her from being who she is. Yeah. They're saying, you know what they say,
let's not go. I mean, sure, everyone knows about it.
If you were any good, you would have invented the next toaster. And then she's not a toaster inventor, يعني guys. She's not a toaster. It's not in the cards. It wasn't in the cards. And not the toaster inventor. تكون بحرينية. Okay, maybe she يعني. The thing is, we put such inventions above certain يعني that's what the ego does. You know the original sin? The original sin is ولما إبليس when Lucifer I don't know if it's the same in every religion, but like in Islam, the original sin is that when Lucifer refused to bow to Sayyidina Adam, when God created Sayyidina Adam. And when asked why he wouldn't bow, he says, أنا من نار وهو من طين, and I'm created of fire and you created him of earth, so I'm better than him. Yeah. So al-kibar, vanity, is the first sin. And that's how you can catch someone's ego. There's always this is better than this. So inventing a toaster is better than instructing Bahraini traditional dancing. And that's simply not true. Everything has value. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's not valuable. I once was in the opening of... it was the 1-year anniversary of... It was the 1-year anniversary of a restaurant in Bahrain.
Okay.
And I was like part of it was like by you get an invitation. So I go, there's like a lot of people. And then the guy who opened the restaurant takes the microphone and says, thank you all for helping us finish our 1-year anniversary. So difficult for the F&B sector to survive in the F&B sector, all that. And then he says, I just want to thank my family for supporting me. I come from a military family. All my 3 brothers are in the BDF, the Bahrain Defense Force. And when I wanted to become a cook, I was faced with some opposition. And then my oldest brother came to me and he gave me a hug and told me, Flan, which is a word we use when we don't want to say the person's name. John Smith, okay, and he says Flan, John Smith, he said, Flan, it's okay to be different. So, and like a tear came to his eye as he remembered his brother's support. But I just felt it doesn't need to it doesn't need to be that hard to want to be a cook, a chef يعني.
Yeah.
So I go to the guy later
Yeah.
and I just tell him it's not only okay, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think your restaurant is beautiful. I think what you're doing is wonderful and I'm really enjoying it. So thank you for being who you are. يعني, if you can basically, one of the clues that you found your identity is that you found something you're passionate about, something you enjoy,
Yeah.
and then you start doing it. And like the energy it gives you, the adrenaline rush that comes, the joy
drive,
you feel,
basically.
it's like basically the best word for it is joy.
Okay.
When you're in joy, when you feel joy,
Yeah.
you're most yourself.
Sure.
And you're most attractive to everything you want or think you want.
This is where you vibe to whatever you want and you align with the same vibration, and that's when things come to you.
بالضبط. يعني many people think that they have to like actually have their thoughts match the energy of, and sometimes you can't يعني أو مو you can't, sometimes it's not that easy. يعني if you take a little boy who grew up in poverty and يعني what do they hear most about money? And it's hard and rich people are all thieves.
Yeah, they're evil,
and,
money is evil.
and the money is haram.
Yeah.
And it's not, doesn't grow on trees. هالكلام دي كله.
They grow up hating money.
Yeah. So you can't actually be attractive to something you hate.
Yeah.
It's a form of like dissonance. يعني if you ask a young Bahraini guy مثلا, what do you want to be when you grow up, and he tells you a millionaire. Second question, what do you think of millionaires? I hate them, they're thieves. يعني can't you, like, isn't it obvious? And then like the energy isn't matching up.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Same thing with يعني many of especially يعني males too, but females most especially. What do you want to be when you grow up? Happily married.
Yeah.
What do you think of happily married people? I hate them, they're so annoying. زين يعني
But
يعني come on guys يعني.
we go back to again the culture as we were going the same topic, and since you brought up the restaurant owner, is it that we are raised up through a mainstream of being certain people growing to become a certain let's say working a certain job to live a certain life, right? Is that why usually people hate on other people for being different?
Okay, so again we're going to do some energy theory. So we are a patriarchal society. مجتمع ذكوري, huh? We're a patriarchal society. الحين masculinity in energy teaching is an energy form.
Yeah.
Okay, it has nothing to do with anything else. It's a form of energy. And masculinity, by the way, how do you know that a society is very patriarchal? The majority of colors that people like to see or wear in that society are black and white, the two colors of masculinity. Okay. So black and white are the most masculine colors we have, and they're always very reflective in masculine societies. Black and white, you know how they say, you remember like years, I don't know if you guys remember years ago, a very famous singer called Latifa. She had a song called بحب في غرامك ألاقي كلامك محدد قصادي كلام مش بيحود يا أبيض يا أسود لكن مش رمادي. I don't know how I'm going to translate that. بس يعني she basically would sing about black and white, and she doesn't want the gray area in the middle. Yeah. She wants him to be very direct with her. Our societies are patriarchal societies that like things to be black and white. What this means, they like you to be either this or that. For example, for women, they like her to either be a career woman or a housewife. And it like workplaces make it difficult for moms, and moms make it difficult for career women to be accepted in feminine. It's the same thing with men. Yani, You're either, let's say, a banker or a doctor and then some other thing, any other job, they'd make a bit, actually, they'd make a lot of fun of you. Yani, I remember no one made fun of me for being a spiritual master and energy teacher while I was a lawyer. The moment I quit, subhanallah, the moment I quit, I got this backlash for, yani, we would like give a blind eye to it because you were doing something serious. Now that you're not anymore, yani, you're going to get this backlash, and you get it from family, from colleagues, from... And the reason being, masculine energy likes simple, straight lines.
Familiar.
Familiar, clear, straight, concise lines. There's nothing wrong with that. But a problem comes up when you block the feminine energy in society and within you.
Yeah.
So basically, the feminine within every one of us wants difference, wants chaos, wants not straight lines, wants some chaotic lines, wants difference. And the interesting thing is, the more difference you allow, the more society develops. If you think about the societies that all the biggest inventions, Hailey, he wanted her to invent the next toaster. Where does the toaster come from? From societies where women who teach dancing are not persecuted. Okay? Where you're allowed to be who you are, that's where people thrive and create and invent and become, and because the majority amount of differences are allowed. Patriarchal societies are all about protecting each other. Okay, so you want to protect people. So people who attack you for doing something different, believe it or not, it comes from a place of love.
Yeah.
They actually love you, and they don't want you to fail. So they don't want you to try something that hasn't been tried and proven before you.
I really like that. And this showed that it's been more or less the masculine energy has been very dominant in our cultures. And I love that you mentioned that, because the next question is, why is it very hard for men, to address these interests that are very different than what is the norm, right? As you mentioned, the guy as a cook, maybe he was very passionate about it for a very long time, even though the 1 year anniversary, it was very hard, and he got very emotional addressing that it's very hard for me to be a cook. People was making fun of him. So why is it's always and you said it yourself, the backlash comes to you when you kind of try to be different as a male?
Okay. For men specifically, it's okay. I know women go through many challenges, but generally women are allowed a greater circumference of freedom when it comes to doing things out of the norm. Yani, it's okay for a woman to want to do a masculine job. Yani, it's the majority of lawyers in Bahrain are women. Okay. It's okay for women to be doctor, banker. ليش؟ لأنه يعني why؟ لأنه يعني because you kind of respect someone who wants a masculine job. Okay.
That's interesting.
Okay. Some jobs require more creativity.
That's when you tell.
And more emotions and more chaos. Then some jobs require a messy kitchen, a messy art studio, a messy recording studio, a messy, whatever. Okay?
This is organized, by the way.
It's very organized. Okay, a messy yoga room, and then an Avengers poster. Okay, so basically, some jobs require a lot of the feminine energy for them to flow and for them to connect. When women do them, it's okay, لأن society doesn't really think of itself as dependent on women for it to survive.
Okay.
معنى the truth is it's very dependent on women for it to survive. Women make the wheel go round, but the way people think is that the boy will carry my name, even if the boy isn't doing anything, eating, or احنا نقول ياكل ويمشي يده في الطوفة. يعني in English, eating and wiping his hand on the wall. زين doesn't do anything. Okay? He eats and he wipes his hands on the wall. فيعني so that they clean, you get it, لا? So that they clean the wall as well behind him rather than, go to the
So
sink.
he's useless.
Yes, basically. Like people and like you see the same way the mother is like, oh, the boy is gonna carry me, not the girls. Oh, the boy is gonna do this for me. Society thinks of men as the carriers of their society.
Okay.
So when a skilled man, okay, a man who like you think of would succeed in something else, wants to do something that you don't see value in, like cooking, because you think anyone can cook really. I can bring someone who cooks, or art, or whatever. Here is why you want to put a stop to it. And that's what makes it more difficult. Again, I go back to saying, as above, so below, as within, so without. Which means, I discovered that the more I supported myself, the more I believed in what I do, the more I accepted them, because acceptance goes both ways. I want to be a spiritual teacher, okay? But I can't force my family to accept that, okay? The best thing I can do is to accept them not accepting it, okay? Wanting someone else to be spiritual is the least spiritual thing,
Because it comes from within.
It's not very spiritual. انك تبي واحد غير يصير روحاني مو بشيء روحاني. Okay? So spirituality is about acceptance and authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay? So basically that's why people get a bit, that's why it's a bit more challenging. But when I started accepting more completely and more fully and supported myself, things around me started changing, and all the people who stood in my way became very supportive of what I do.
I think that's because of the resistance, like you keep on resisting, wanting to make them see you for who you are.
Yeah.
So I think that's something, you project something different.
Yeah.
And once you just, let's say, surrender, things just align, and basically you start vibing to a point of your authentic self, and that's when they see you for who you truly are.
You know what I tie it to? In one of my lectures, I tell a story of a family member and me. I tie it to me losing my desire to please them.
Nice.
So long as I wanted my family to be proud of me, to be happy for me, to be pleased for me, so long as I wanted to please them, they were never pleased. And the minute I lost my desire to please them, they were pleased for me, but I wasn't too happy with it. I wasn't as happy as I thought I would be with their approval, because I no longer sought it.
Nice. One of the most important and most interesting question I think that we talked about is, in both our practices, the most clients that we work with are female. I would like to touch upon that. Why is that even in your case as a spiritual teacher, and in my case as a health coach, it's very hard for males to accept help?
There are two reasons. One, women are more open. They are much more open and accepting and open-minded and willing to try things because of feminine energy, but also because المجتمع دتشهم دتش. So basically society has really pummeled them. They've gone through many challenges in life, and because of going through so much, they just open up. Men have been more or less sheltered by society, okay? They're usually sheltered by their mothers. They have a lot of privilege. They can do what they want, go out whenever they want, do whatever they want. And they're taught that asking for help is a sign of weakness and it's emasculating. So if you need help, you're no longer a man. So that's why a lot of them fear even asking for help. They can't even ask for it. And two, and I don't know if our audience is going to like to, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Usually, a larger percentage of women need it. Ahim, this is, I know it sounds like a sexist generalization I just made, but like, stay with me. The female mind is not like the male mind, the mechanics. It's more complicated. It's more emotional. It thinks of things more. Men, have you ever heard the expression water off a duck's back when things just roll off you? Men can like have a fight at home, leave, go to the moderator, hopefully not al-qahwa. Smoking is, anyways. Or maybe to al-qahwa, let's not judge, not very spiritual. And there they would like immerse themselves with their friends over a game of cards and forget all about it. Generally, women can't let go of emotional baggage as easily. Usually men only think of it when it's in front of them. Yani, like a guy thinks of, even like positive things, the guy thinks of the woman he loves when he sees her. He falls in love with her when she's with him. Women fall in love with the guy when he's not around, because their emotions and their thoughts and they become more complex more easily. So that's why their need is greater, because of the emotional depth they go to, because of the way their corpus callosum, which is like the bit of the brain that kind of connects the two left and right brain lobes together, is bigger. So they're more they're able to like display a more complex variety of emotions and thoughts. And that's why methodologies to do with energy teaching, life coaching, astrology, numerology, all these wonderful methodologies, nutrition, they're more open to, because they need them. They need them to help them navigate more. Not all women are like that, of course. Some women are very masculine energy. They're like men. Things just roll off. They can move on to the next things. And a lot of men, especially left-handed men like me, have a more dominant feminine energy. So they do have a lot of complicated analysis and they need these things to calm their mind and quiet themselves.
Okay. Since you mentioned the suppressing of the emotion, or let's say men tend to distract themselves and just let it go, isn't that like, suppressing or just putting under the rug? Because if in general we talk about long-term suppressing of that emotion leads to breakouts, and most statistics right now shows that there's a lot of men that can't handle their emotions, thoughts, and might lead to sort of suicidal thoughts. So would it relate to this point where the putting on the rug and continuing doing that instead of addressing these emotions and addressing these let's say events and that they're going through, what's the correlation between them?
Okay, so this is going to change.
Okay.
Eventually. And I believe sooner rather than later. Yani, in years to come, this like thing where energy and self-development is exclusively a female area of work, it's going to completely shift because the whole world is shifting. Okay, all these movements happening all over the globe, they're allowing, men are being allowed for the first time to self-examine and to be more vulnerable and to open their hearts. And the thing is, even though it will change eventually and sooner rather than later, it can't be forced. لأن you really can't help anyone unless they want to help themselves. So even the series that we're doing, wonderful as it is, I'm still guessing the majority of the audience that are going to be watching it is going to be female.
Yeah.
And only men who are ready will open up to watch it. يعني I think this initiative you're doing, Hamad, is wonderful.
Thank you.
لأن يعني I've personally never done and I've never heard of anything in Bahrain of this nature targeted exclusively at men. But again, it will also require some reflective young men who want to open up, who want to like believe. Because you see, the people who do something different and succeed at it, society tells everyone else they're the exception to the rule. But he's the exception, la.
Yeah,
You're not the exception. You're kidding me, la. You're not the exception. So, but I feel, and especially this younger generation, is magnificent. يعني I am so impressed by them. شاقين الأرض الله يحفظهم يعني. It's like an Arabic expression, and يعني they ripped the floor and came out of it. It's like they're doing very well in life. It's like they come out of the blue, out of nowhere. Okay, they come out of nowhere and they're doing really, really well. MashaAllah alayhum. So I have a feeling that this generation will do really well.
Inshallah, I'm looking forward to for this, because eventually, growing up into a space where they could be themselves gives more opportunity for people tapping into their authenticity, tapping into their optimal, let's say, just being, basically. They become their absolute being. And that's when that's what we're trying to do with this. You know, even though you can't, as you mentioned, you cannot emphasize or just force what we're trying to do into a change that we could ask a younger, an older generation or the seniors, let's say, into accepting what we're trying to do. But there's so much potential in the younger generation to accept and, you know, and have some sort of guidance. And I think this is where we're trying to direct our message into giving everyone a chance into tapping into their ultimate being by understanding that there's more to them, and within that road they might find their authentic self. Where could people find more about you?
So guys, if you want to know anything more about me, you just go to www.waleedhashim.com. The website, Waleed is with a double E, Hashim with an I-M. The website is Arabic English. You can read my bio there, learn a few things about me. You can go to the store, there are Arabic lectures. There's one English one as well for those who don't speak Arabic, about the navel chakra, which we just spoke about. And you can attend online via virtual live stream any future event I have. If you want to find me on YouTube, you just search for Waleed Hashim, again, Waleed with a double E, Hashim with an I-M, and you'll find loads of videos, interviews with me. I have several podcasts out in Arabic and in English on all podcast apps. Again, search for Waleed Hashim, Waleed with a double E, Hashim with an I-M. Instagram, you know the drill, double E and I-M. Telegram, same, snapmaster.waleed. And Google, you can Google me, you can find me in anywhere.
Nice.
And I'll be very happy to have you. Hayyakum Allah.
Beautiful. Just one last sentence for the male audience.
One last sentence for the male audience. There is great love for you guys here for all of us. We live in a loving, supporting, kind universe. Please don't believe anyone who tells you life is hard, life is easy. It's all about easy and ease. Life is kind, life is nurturing, life is loving, life is supportive. Life loves you. God loves you. The universe loves you. God created you because He wants you to be happy. Here on earth and in heaven, but right now as well. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to be supported. And if you feel you need someone's help to achieve that, it's okay to ask for help. Even if you want to ask someone to bake you a cake, ask for anything you need. Don't worry. Don't feel and asking is too much. And just remember always that you are deeply and profoundly loved. There's great love here for all of us.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing back the gentleman.
Welcome. I have enjoyed this interview immensely.
Really.
But if you want me to be honest and more realistic, I'll just have to admit that I've actually enjoyed this interview more than my mind can now comprehend, more than my heart can thus far be open to, and more than these words or any other words could currently convey. It was an honor, a privilege, and a treat to be sitting with a young man like you who have come to me with an open mind, open heart, and an open soul, ready to have this honest and very energetic discussion. Thank you, Hamad, for what you're doing for all of us.
Okay.
And I love what I do. I thank God every day for doing it. But there's a law of energy that says that if I don't thank you, I can't thank him. So thank you.
We'll end it with that. And thank you for this testimony.
Welcome.